It's October 2025, and the American motorcycle industry is in freefall. Harley-Davidson is bleeding money. Indian Motorcycle just got sold to a private equity firm nobody's heard of, and dealers across the country are sitting on tens of thousands of unsold bikes they can't move. This isn't a rough patch. This isn't a temporary downturn. This is a full-blown collapse of an industry that once defined American manufacturing and freedom. In the past 6 months alone, we've watched two of America's most iconic brands, Harley and Indian, spiral into crisis. Sales are down, profits are gone, and the future, nobody knows if there is one. So what the hell happened? How did we go from live to ride, ride to live, to pray we survive another quarter? In the next 12 minutes, I'm breaking down exactly what's happening to American motorcycles in October 2025, the numbers, the reasons, and what it means for riders, dealers, and the future of the industry. This is the October 2025 update you need to see. Hit subscribe right now if you want honest coverage of what's actually happening in the motorcycle industry. No corporate spin, no manufacturer propaganda, just the truth. Bell icon. Let's go. Let's start with the big one. Harley-Davidson is dying, not slowly, quickly. In Q2 2025, the most recent numbers we have, Harley reported catastrophic losses. Sales down 23% year over year. Revenue down across every segment. And profits? They lost between $130 and $175 million in the first half of 2025 alone. That's not a typo. $175 million gone. And it gets worse. Harley suspended their 2025 financial guidance. That's corporate speak for we have no idea what's coming and we don't want to make predictions we can't keep. When a public company suspends guidance, it's usually because the news is so bad they don't want to commit to numbers. Why is this happening? 3 reasons: tariffs, demographics, and desperation. Tariffs are killing Harley. Trump's trade wars created retaliatory tariffs from the EU and China. A Harley Road Glide that costs $28 grand in the US costs over $100,000 in Denmark after tariffs. Nobody's buying that. European sales collapsed 40%. Chinese sales? Forget it. Demographics are brutal. The average Harley buyer is in their 50s. Younger riders aren't buying cruisers. They're buying sport bikes, adventure bikes, or nothing at all because they can't afford houses, let alone $25,000 motorcycles. Desperation moves aren't working. Harley just launched the Sprint, a $6,000 budget bike built in China. That's not a growth strategy. That's a Hail Mary from a company that knows its traditional customer base is aging out and disappearing. And here's the kicker. Harley reports Q3 2025 results on November 4th. That's 2 weeks away. And nobody, not analysts, not dealers, not riders, expects good news. If Q3 is as bad as Q2, we're looking at potential bankruptcy discussion by mid-2026. Harley-Davidson, the most iconic American motorcycle brand in history, might not survive. 2 weeks ago, Polaris Industries announced they're selling Indian Motorcycle to Carolwood LP, a private equity firm based in California. Let that sink in. Indian Motorcycle, founded in 1901, older than Harley-Davidson, just got sold to investors whose job is to extract profit, not build legacy. The deal includes 900 employees, the Spirit Lake, Iowa factory, 600 dealers, and the entire Indian brand. Polaris keeps a minority stake, but washes their hands of day-to-day operations. Why did Polaris give up? Because Indian was dragging down their numbers. Polaris makes billions selling ATVs, side-by-sides, and utility vehicles to farmers and construction companies. Indian Motorcycle generated $478 million in revenue, but wasn't profitable enough to justify the resources, so they sold it. And Wall Street celebrated. Polaris stock jumped 11% after the announcement. But what does this mean for Indian? Nothing good. Private equity firms don't buy companies because they love motorcycles. They buy companies to make money. That usually means cost cutting, streamlining, and maximizing short-term profits before selling again or taking the company public. For Indian riders, the worry is parts availability, dealer support, and long-term viability. If the new owners decide certain models aren't profitable, those models die. If dealers don't hit sales targets, they get cut. If the brand doesn't generate returns fast enough, it gets stripped for parts. Mike Kennedy, former Harley executive, is the new CEO. He's a motorcycle guy, which is encouraging, but he works for private equity now. His job isn't to preserve Indian's heritage, it's to hit profit targets. And if that means killing models, closing factories, or slashing support, that's what happens. Indian just went from being part of a stable, diversified corporation to being owned by investors who view it as a financial asset. That's terrifying for anyone who cares about the brand. Here's what nobody wants to admit. American motorcycles as an industry are collapsing. Harley's dying. Indian's been sold off, and there's nobody else. Those are the only 2 American motorcycle manufacturers that matter. Everything else is niche, boutique, or dead. Compare that to Europe. Ducati's thriving. BMW's selling more bikes than ever. Triumph's expanding into new markets. KTM had a financial crisis earlier this year, but survived with a bailout from Bajaj. And Japan, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, they're all fine. The US market could disappear tomorrow and they'd be okay because they sell globally. But American brands, they're US-centric. And the US motorcycle market is shrinking every year. Total US motorcycle sales have been declining for over a decade. The only exception was a brief COVID bump when people bought bikes because they were bored at home. That's over. Sales are back to declining, and there's no sign of recovery. Why? Demographics, economics, and culture. Demographics. The baby boomers who built the American motorcycle market are aging out. They're in their 60s and 70s now. Many are selling bikes, not buying them. And younger generations aren't replacing them as customers. Economics. Motorcycles are luxury purchases. When housing costs are insane, student debt is crushing people, and wages are stagnant. A $25,000 Harley isn't a priority. It's a fantasy. Culture. Motorcycling used to be rebellion. Now it's, what? A weekend hobby for middle-aged guys in expensive leather? The cultural cachet is gone. Bikes don't represent freedom anymore. They represent midlife crises. So you've got shrinking demand, aging customers, and rising costs. That's not a rough patch. That's a death spiral. Let's talk about the people nobody thinks about. Motorcycle dealers. Dealers are sitting on massive inventories they can't sell. Harley dealers have lots full of 2023 and 2024 models that nobody wants. Indian dealers are wondering if their franchise agreement is even worth anything now that the brand's been sold. And it's not just American brands. Dealers across the board are struggling. The COVID boom created a surge in demand, and manufacturers ramped up production. Now, demand has crashed, and dealers are stuck with bikes they financed that they can't move. Floor plan financing, the loans dealers use to stock inventory, comes with interest payments. If bikes sit too long, the interest eats into profits. Eventually, dealers have to sell at a loss just to clear space and stop bleeding money. Some dealers are offering massive discounts, 20, 30, even 40% off MSRP, just to move units. That's not sustainable. And when dealers start going under, manufacturers lose distribution. That accelerates the collapse. We're already seeing dealer closures, Harley dealerships shutting down, Indian dealers reconsidering their future, and it's only going to get worse. So where does this go? What's the future of American motorcycles? Scenario 1, consolidation. Harley and Indian both survive, but as smaller, leaner companies. They cut models, close factories, reduce dealer networks, and focus on core products. They become niche brands for a shrinking but loyal customer base. This is the optimistic scenario. Scenario 2, Harley files for bankruptcy. If Q3 and Q4 2025 are disastrous, Harley could file Chapter 11 by mid-2026. They'd restructure, shed debt, maybe get bought by a larger corporation. The brand survives, but barely. This is the realistic scenario. Scenario 3, Indian dies. Private equity squeezes what they can out of Indian for 5 years, then lets it fade away. By 2030, Indian motorcycle is a memory. This is the pessimistic scenario. Scenario 4, total collapse. Both brands fail within the next 5 years. American motorcycle manufacturing ends. Harley and Indian become collector item, and the industry is entirely dominated by European and Japanese brands. This is the nightmare scenario. Which one happens? Nobody knows, but right now, none of the options are good. There's one piece of good news in all this chaos. Eric Buell, legendary American motorcycle designer, just started production on the Buell Super Cruiser. It's a 175 horsepower muscle cruiser that makes Harleys look like toys. It's American designed, performance focused, and everything Harley should have built, but didn't. Buell's not going to save the industry. They're a tiny boutique brand, but the fact that they're launching a bike right now while Harley and Indian are collapsing is either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Time will tell. But at least someone's still trying to build American motorcycles that don't suck. The American motorcycle industry is collapsing in October 2025. Harley's bleeding money. Indian's been sold to private equity. Dealers are drowning, and there's no cavalry coming. This isn't temporary. This is structural. The market's shrinking. The customers are aging out. And the brands that defined American motorcycling for a century might not survive the next 5 years. If you own a Harley or an Indian, enjoy it, because the company that built it might not be around to support it much longer. And if you're thinking about buying one, maybe wait, because prices are about to crash as desperate dealers and owners try to unload bikes nobody wants. Drop a comment. Do you think Harley and Indian survive this? Or are we watching the end of American motorcycles in real time? Subscribe for updates as this crisis unfolds. November 4th, Harley reports Q3. We'll cover it. Bell icon. Let's see how bad it really is. This is the reality. No spin, no hope, just the truth. American motorcycles are dying, and nobody's coming to save them.